Welcome to this session on entrepreneurship development. One of the modules under entrepreneurship development is to do with marketing management. Now, in one of our previous episodes, we have already been talking about analyzing marketing opportunities and developing marketing strategies thereof. Now, this is in fact a continuation to the same episode, and what we will do is in this episode, we'll be devoting attention on how, as a result of environmental scanning, a company can look for marketing opportunities arising in the environment. Maybe if you would recall, in the last episode that we had discussed about the same topic, we had referred to many of the major or the macro environmental factors that have a major impact on the company's marketing activities. Like I remember having discussed about the demographic environmental changes taking place in the demography of the country or the market in which the company tries to market its products, or the technological environment that is undergoing rapid changes as a result of different technological breakthroughs which are happening all around, or even the socio-economic or the cultural environment which is also experiencing a lot of shift over time. These are all giving indications to the organization that there are marketing opportunities arising in the environment. So as you can understand, the environmental scanning is a very important function that can guide the marketer in his search for new marketing opportunities. Fine. If we remember this, we can go forward from there, and we add to this by saying that it's not just the major macro environmental factors like the demographic or the technological or the socio-economic factors, but even the micro environmental factors from the perspective of the organization also have a bearing on its search for new marketing opportunities. What do we mean by these micro environmental factors? The micro environmental factors are those variables in the firm's marketing environment which have a direct impact on the firm's business. Like, for example, the customers of the company, or the suppliers of the organization, or the competitors of the organization. Now, these are people, or these are groups of people and organizations which are in direct business with the organization. And they also throw up many marketing opportunities. If the firm would look for opportunities, there are lots of opportunities to be found out in discussion with these people, the customers, the competitors, the distributors, the suppliers. All these people can also provide you with lots of new marketing ideas and opportunities. So it's really a combination of the external environment in terms of the macro environmental factors as well as the micro environmental factors that is going to give the firm a lot of new ideas or new opportunities for doing marketing of its products and services, even developing new products and services as a result thereof. Okay. So that's one aspect of the discussion, which is to do with an environmental scanning of the external environment, the environment that is outside the firm. But then it is also important at the same time that the firm has to do an internal analysis of the capabilities of the firm itself. It's one thing to say that there are opportunities arising in the environment. At the same time, there will be threats arising in the environment besides these opportunities. And is the firm able to take care of these opportunities? Does it have the requisite strengths and the resources to go ahead and cash in on those opportunities? Or does it have to develop strengths and its resources in a manner that it will take some time before the firm is ready to take advantage of those opportunities? Or where are the areas where the firm is not so strong? Where are the areas of weakness? Where are the areas of vulnerability that the firm will have to take preventive action against? Because as much as there are opportunities arising in the environment, there will be threats also which are going to have a damaging impact on the firm's business. So the other aspect to it is the internal analysis. On the one hand, we have the external environmental scanning, and on the other hand, we have the internal analysis of the capabilities and the weaknesses of the firm. Now, collectively, this is what is referred to as the SWOT analysis, what is very popular and is commonly known as the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis. Okay. So the organization carries out a rigorous SWOT analysis by looking into the external environment and also by delving deep within its own environment, the internal environment, trying to find out its major areas of strength and its major areas of weakness. Okay. So it is important that the firm does this SWOT analysis, and to do so, the firm will need to prepare some kind of a checklist, I would say.
So in case of SWOT analysis, is equal importance given to both internal and external SWOT analysis, or kind of more impact or more attention is given to either internal or external SWOT analysis?
See, if you analyze the SWOT, it is strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Now, out of these, the strengths and weaknesses originate from the firm itself. Okay, these are internal parameters of the firm, and the opportunities and threats are outside the firm. They are external. Okay, so it's really the SWOT analysis is really a combination of looking outward as well as inward, trying to find out what is happening in the environment, which is constantly changing, and what are the capabilities within the firm that can keep pace with the changing environment and take advantage of opportunities which are arising.
So I've got a question that
Yeah.
for internal strength and weakness, I know my company better than anyone else.
Yeah, of course.
What I feel about. And for opportunity and threats, I may be wrong because this is my perception that these are the opportunities or these are the threats for the company itself. So what do you think can be the measures?
See, the point is, I would say the first thing I would say in connection with this is that it's a continuing effort. A SWOT analysis is not something that you do periodically and then stop. Okay, it's something that keeps on happening within the organization throughout. The planning horizon. It's not something that is a start and stop kind of an activity. You have to continuously monitor the external environment. Okay, your perception about the environment in terms of the threats and the opportunities are your own perceptions, correct? Now these perceptions will get refined over time. You can take the help of external consultants also if you think that your perceptions are more biased towards your own organizational strengths and weaknesses. Then you would perhaps think of taking external help by taking the help of external agencies like consultants who can help you do a better analysis maybe, or an impartial analysis of the environmental factors, and remove that perceptual bias if there is any. Okay, but then the fact remains that even these external consultants can also make mistakes in understanding these opportunities and threats. So the question of your being accurate is not really taken care of by the fact that you are using external help and not depending on your own understanding of the environment. You can take help from external environment by employing or engaging consultants who would you feel do a better job in terms of understanding the environment, but then supplement that with your own understanding of the environment as well, and then take a call on what do you perceive as the emanating threats and the opportunities. Okay,
So experience and the ongoing process
experience and ongoing
becomes
and
very important.
that's in fact this is why this becomes a part of strategic marketing. It is really normally done at the highest levels of the organization where people are looking for business opportunities and threats. It is not something that is done merely at the operational level. It is also taken to the very highest level of the organization, wherein you would expect that people with vast experience behind them, people with a lot of understanding of the business environment, are the ones who are looking into the environment. Strategic marketing operates at various levels, including at the top management level. Okay, but then getting back to what I was saying, while you look into the demographic environment, demographic, technological, business environment, economic environment, and so on and so forth, what are the parameters you would look for when you're doing an internal appraisal? You would possibly do it in terms of the functions carried out by the organization. Like if you are doing, because this is more to do with the marketing management module, let's focus on what are the areas of marketing as a function that the firm needs to focus on, trying to understand its own strengths and its own weaknesses. Okay, some of the parameters could be, for example, you would look at the market share position. You would look at the customer satisfaction indexes. Okay, you would look at the product qualities, the service quality, the effectiveness of price in the market, the distribution effectiveness, the promotion effectiveness, the selling aggressiveness, okay, and the intensity of coverage of your distribution. These, and even I would say a factor like innovativeness. Now these are parameters which are important parameters from the marketing functions point of view. Now how well are we adapted to doing these things? Can we call let's also look at what is our degree of performance. Can we divide performance in terms of this is a major strength, this is a minor strength, is this a major weakness or a minor weakness, or is it neutral? Now can we devise some sort of a scale like that and understand what is our relative position vis-a-vis one of the parameters? Like for example, in terms of customer satisfaction, do we consider this to be a major strength of ours, or do we consider this to be a minor weakness of ours? Now where do we consider ourselves to be in terms of the scale and with respect to that parameter. So let's say for each and every parameter and for many other parameters, some of which I just mentioned now, can we do a rating of our own strength or weakness in terms of those parameters? Okay.
You just mentioned about few of the parameters for the strength
Yeah.
and weakness analysis of a company. So how can they be prioritized? Like where to give
Yes.
stress on and where not?
That's right. In fact, I was just about to say this, that on the one hand, you have to first of all be able to identify what are these parameters correctly, okay, and develop some sort of a scale trying to gauge your position in terms of your capability to handle that parameter. Like, how do you handle innovation as a function? Is that considered to be a major strength in your organization, or is that not a major strength in the organization? The other aspect is how important is innovation as a parameter. That is where the prioritizing comes in. Okay, like you might decide that, well, innovating is the most important function in the organization, so I allocate that a very high degree of importance. But then you might also decide that, as far as I am concerned, I have got an established product, so for me, my innovation is important but not so important. It's medium in terms of importance. Okay, or a firm that is not looking at the environment with a lot of interest, it has got a product that's declining. Now maybe that firm considers that innovation is topmost in its agenda because it has got a product that is declining. It is all the more necessary for the company to come out with a new product, innovate something, and be back in the marketplace with something that is sought after by the market. So innovation, how is the firm giving importance to each parameter? What is the relative importance being attached to these parameters among all the parameters, and what is the rating of the firm itself in terms of those parameters is what the internal SWOT analysis is about. Okay, and from there we try to find out, if possible, you can do a similar exercise for your competitors as well. In fact, that is what is referred to as benchmarking. When you benchmark your performance against your closest rivals, then you get to know where do you stand relative to where your rival brands stand in terms of these parameters. Now again, as Piyush was saying, all this is relative. Okay, your understanding of your competitors' strengths and weaknesses is a matter of your perception. But then even that is better than not having some kind of a perception and not being able to benchmark. That's why there's a major emphasis nowadays on benchmarking your performance against the performance of your rivals, closest rivals, distant rivals, and even trying to benchmark at the international level. So strategic benchmarking has become a very important activity in many companies who are trying to grow in a big way. So in summary, I would say that the whole idea is to look at the external environment, find out opportunities. As a result of a rigorous environmental scanning, you will be able to spot opportunities in the external environment. At the same time, you'll also be aware of threats that are there in the environment which you need to guard against. And when you have looked inside and carried out an appraisal of the firm in terms of its capabilities and its weaknesses, then you know where you stand with respect to those opportunities. What do you need to do in order to move from a position of minor strength to a major strength, let's say? Or where are the areas of weakness which you need to guard against, so that when the threat actually becomes a reality, you are already in a position to take care of that. Now, this is the subject of SWOT analysis, and as I mentioned before also, it's a continuing endeavor, as a result of which you will be able to see your firm relative to the environment and be able to bridge that strategic gap. That is very much important. This is what strategic marketing is all about. We tried to say that a SWOT analysis is an understanding of the external opportunities and threats and an appraisal of the internal strengths and weaknesses of a firm. And we also try to suggest a mechanism by which one can do this. Now let's move on from there. And what does a firm do after having spotted certain opportunities and identified certain threats in the environment? What a firm can do is it can take a structured approach to the analysis of strength of the opportunities and threats. But then there are certain important questions that the firm needs to ask itself before doing a marketing opportunity analysis. Like, I'll just read out a few questions to you. One of them is, can the benefits involved in the opportunity be convincingly communicated to a defined target market? It is one thing to be able to identify an opportunity in the environment. It's quite another to be able to convincingly communicate that opportunity and the benefits thereof to your target markets? Can we do that?
It depends upon the strength of the.
That is right. So it is always a question of, it's not just a question of the opportunity being there, but then the availability of the internal strength also, which is going to make you realize the value of that opportunity.
So it is basically the trade-off between the two.
It is actually that. Okay. The next question you need to ask is, can the target markets be identified and reached out cost effectively? Well, there are opportunities, but then where are the target markets? Who are the people who will be considered as target or the potential users of this product or this service? Can they be reached out? Having identified them, how can we reach out to them in terms of our communication, in terms of the actual delivery of the products and the services? Can we do that effectively? Thirdly, does the company have access to the critical capabilities and resources needed? Again, this makes you look back at the internal analysis. Do we have the internal resources? Do we have the right kind of manpower? Do we have the right, even if we have the right manpower, do they have the skill sets required to take advantage of that opportunity? Okay. Or do they need training? Do they need to be trained to certain levels where they can take advantage of that opportunity?
So in this case, research and development need to be strong within the company.
Yes, it can be. If you are looking at developing new products for the organization, obviously you have to have some kind of a thrust on research and development. Okay, and I was saying, do we have the critical resources? There are all kinds of resources required to make to realize an opportunity, to actually transform an opportunity into a reality. Now, to do this, which are the critical capabilities? You have to be able to ascertain what are the right capabilities, what are the critical skills which are required to do that, and do we have them in-house? If not, are we in a position to develop the people so that they acquire those skills over a limited period of time, and then we are ready for that opportunity? Or do we need to bring in people or bring in resources from outside? Do we need to hire resources from the external environment, or which we do not have within the organization? Now that puts in place a lot of other actions. The company will need to maybe go into recruitment and selection of people, right kind of people, or maybe procure technology, procure equipment and machinery, whatever. So it asks very important questions of the organization. Can the company deliver the benefit better than competition? That's where it becomes strategic. Okay. It's fine to talk about an opportunity. It's fine to say that I have got the right capability. But then there are other organizations who are also looking at the same opportunity. They're also trying to take advantage of the same opportunity. Now, so there is going to be competition for that. And if there is competition, will I be able to outsmart competition? Can I do it? Can I deliver the goods better than competition can? If I can do that, then I have got an edge. Okay. If I don't, then I might lose out. So the opportunity may not be as attractive as it seems to be at this point of time. If competition is better than me, then I might not be able to cash in on that opportunity as much as I would love to.
So, but how to analyze whether I can better perform?
Which is why I was trying to say that we need to do a benchmarking. If you can do a benchmarking, you have some kind of an idea about what are the capabilities or what are the weaknesses on the part of your rivals
and
also.
Exactly what the competitor is planning about the same product.
Very difficult.
Features and
absolutely
everything.
It is not only to understand what I will do, but they're also to anticipate what the competition would do. Okay. Now this is where the subject becomes very, very difficult. But then all we are trying to say is that one has to make an endeavor to understand the competition as much as possible, so that you know what to expect by way of retaliation from the competition. Okay. So how you'll do that? It's not going to be easy. You will have to take the help of even, as I said before, external consultants who are there to do this kind of a benchmarking activity, and they do it for very high fees, of course. Lastly, will it fetch an acceptable rate of return on the investment? Every opportunity will require you to make some sort of an investment or the other. And do you think that investment is going to fetch you a return which is what is acceptable to you? Or does it ultimately fetch you a return which is not even good enough? It's not acceptable to the firm. In that case, your pursuit of the opportunity may not have been a wise decision. Okay, so what is the likely rate of return on that investment you are expecting, and will it be acceptable to the organization as a whole? Okay, now, so these are some of the most difficult questions to answer, but then, as I said, one has to make an effort trying to answer these questions if one has to really look at opportunities and threats objectively. And let's imagine that the firm is somehow able to, do justice to the answers to these questions. Okay. And having done all this, then the firm moves into a situation where it can draw up what is known as an opportunity matrix or a threats matrix. Okay. Now, an opportunity matrix, very simply speaking, it's a 2x2 matrix. It looks like this. Now, there are two parameters on which an opportunity can be analyzed. One is, what is the degree of attractiveness of the opportunity? Okay. And the other parameter is, what is the success probability as far as I am concerned? If I am pursuing an opportunity, how attractive is that opportunity? That's one parameter. And what is the possibility or the probability that I will succeed in pursuing that opportunity? So if you are trying to plot a 2x2 matrix considering the attractiveness of the opportunity and the success probability, then you get something like this, which is called an opportunity matrix. Okay. How do we do this? We divide the attractiveness into two quadrants. Let's say, in fact, there are 4 quadrants. 2 of them on the left hand side are high and low in attractiveness. So there will be some opportunities which will be high in terms of attractiveness. How you define high is a yardstick left to you. How much growth or whatever will make you feel that this is a really attractive opportunity worth pursuing, and below which you will consider the attractiveness to be not so high, it's low. Okay, so trying to divide it very simply as high and low. Similarly, what is the rate of probability of your being successful in trying to pursue that opportunity? Again, we divide that as high and low. So we have a 2x2 matrix wherein we have got 4 quadrants. Let's say we name them 1, 2, 3 and 4. Let's say the quadrant 1 has got opportunities which are attractive, highly attractive, and in which you also stand a very high probability of success should you pursue them. Okay. Now, as you can understand, these are the best marketing opportunities. Okay. Opportunities that have got a high degree of attractiveness and where your probability of succeeding is also very high. Naturally, those are the ones which you will hotly pursue. Okay, so the company should actively pursue and focus exclusively, I would say, on these opportunities. Look at quadrant number 4, where the attractiveness of an opportunity is low, as well as your success probability is also quite low. Now, what could be a right strategy for that?
Avoid it.
Okay. Now, so you find that although there are, there is some amount of attractiveness, but then not so attractive. Okay. And you also don't stand a very high chance of doing well out there. Okay. Because maybe you feel that competition is better equipped to take advantage of their opportunity rather than yourself. So your probability of succeeding is not very high. And even if competition does pursue that, you are not so much interested because you think that given your organization, given your mix of products, given your customers and given your situation, this is not the most exciting of opportunities. So in that case, you will consider these opportunities as fairly minor and of a much lesser importance, and you may not be willing to consider, or you may not be willing to focus your attention and your resources into these opportunities. So these are not so important to you. Okay.
Sir, in this case,
Yeah.
do the companies even make the opportunity matrix for the competitor company to analyze?
Yes, when you're looking at an opportunity, you will have to understand that who are the closest rivals who would also be evaluating such an opportunity, and what are their degrees of success probability should they pursue those opportunities. In fact, it is a relative understanding of that probability. As I said, if you find that your success probability is low, maybe it is because of the fact that you find yourself a little weak in one area where the competition is stronger, and you think that they have a better opportunity of converting that into a success. So you might decide that this is one area where I will not go into. Okay, maybe you find that there's a niche market where there's an opportunity, and you are a big company whose overheads are big, who have got big brands. You might decide that such a small niche market is not a very interesting opportunity. Although it's an opportunity, it's not a very big opportunity. And you feel that because of my high overheads, because of my high, everything that I do is in a big scale, on a large scale. For me, going down to a small niche market, understanding those customers, doing justice to their requirements may not be a viable proposition. So my success probability may not be very high. Whereas a small competitor who is looking at that with a lot of intent, to pursue, and who has got the kind of resources which are required to tap a small niche market, maybe for him it's a big opportunity. So I might not go into that market at all. Okay, and I leave it to him, who is a small competitor, to pursue that. It might be possible. The more difficult ones are the quadrants 2 and 3. Look at the quadrant 2, where you have got opportunities that are quite attractive, high in attractiveness, but then your success chances are low. That means there's something wrong. you do envisage an opportunity which is promising, but then there is some kind of a weakness on your part. The internal analysis will tell you where is the weakness, and as you foresee, you will not be able to be ready in time to encash on that opportunity. So what do? Maybe you develop your internal strength and wait and watch till that opportunity becomes a reality and you are in position to take advantage. That's one thing you could do. Look at the cell number 3, where the opportunity is not a very attractive one, but then you do have a very high chance of succeeding. That's possible. Okay, now therein it's a cakewalk. Okay, you have a very high chance of succeeding, but then given the nature of the opportunity, it's not so attractive. Okay, now obviously you would like this opportunity to grow in attractiveness because you are assured of success out there. Okay, but then maybe right now you don't want to put your resources into it because you want the opportunity to develop further, and when you will take an active interest in it. So I would say the right strategies for the cell numbers 2 and 3 would be to wait and watch and monitor these opportunities closely, so that you either find they are improving in their overall attractiveness in some way or the other, or your success probability is improving with the passage of time. Mind you, these opportunities may not be imminent. They may be there in the environment, they may be arising slowly in the environment, and by the time they become reality, it might be quite some time from now. Okay, it's all futuristic. So it might be possible that in 2 years' time from now, or in 5 years' time from now, when this opportunity becomes real, I will be in a position to take advantage of that. So I would monitor those opportunities as of now and try to build up my reservoir of strength so that I am ready for it when the time is ripe. Okay. Likewise, I will also look at the other opportunities which maybe are not so attractive now. They might develop into more attractive opportunities, and I will then consider that to be a focus area. So that's one way you could really look at the opportunities and do an opportunity matrix analysis. Okay. Now this is just a framework. What is important is to be able to identify the opportunities and put them into the right categories, and then devise suitable strategic action for them. Okay. Now, fine. We have not been able to go into the threat matrix. We break off from here. We come back and discuss the threat matrix in yet another episode, where we continue our discussion on the marketing opportunity analysis. Okay. Is this clear to all of you?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.